Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hello, readers. Welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I'm trying not to jump out of my seat because I am super excited to be chatting with one of my all-time favorite romance authors today. Her books make me laugh out loud. They make me swoon, all of the things. And she is coming out with a new release on April 11th, and we're going to talk all about it today. So I'm so excited to welcome Amy Daws. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Great. Well, as I mentioned, I'm so super psyched for 9-month contract to come out on April 11th. And I want to gush all about it and tell readers everything there is to know about that book. But before we launch into that, you had an amazing weekend recently in Puerto Rico for Passioncon. Please tell us all about that amazing time.
Yes, I was gratefully distracted with that event because advanced reader copies went out for my new release this past weekend as well. So I was like, yep, it's good. You can't obsess and freak out on what people are thinking. Just focus on the weekend. But yeah, Passion Flicks, the company who made my book adaptation movie, Wait With Me, they host, this is their second one that they've hosted, just a big conference where they invite authors, actors, and viewers / to come and just mingle and have a great party atmosphere and get pictures and listen to panels and interviews and things like that. And yeah, it was like a whirlwind 3 days in super hot, beautiful weather. And then I came back and now everything's covered in snow. I'm in South Dakota. So I'm like, yep, we're definitely back home. But yeah, it was Passioncon was amazing. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about that event. It's just the atmosphere that Passionflix has and the community and culture with their fans is just unlike anything I've seen before.
And you didn't walk away empty-handed, right?
No,
the best part of Passioncon. Tell us the exciting news.
Yeah, the final night they do an awards ceremony where it's called the Passionistas, which is like the name for their super fans, basically. It's the Passionista Choice Awards. And my book that they optioned, Wait With Me, got an award. It's so perfect because we got Best Meet Cute, which is so perfect because my whole Wait With Me series is kind of based on unusual meet cutes. So I was like, heck yeah, that is the iconic award. And yeah, that was so fun. I was like blown away because there's a lot of competition because they have some big fans for their Gabriel's Redemption series that's been being produced for many years now. So it was tough competition, but yeah, I was really, really happy with.
This was like a fan award, they voted for who they wanted.
Yes. Passionflix puts it out, kind of like MTV Movie Awards, where it's more fan votes. So yeah.
Well, and that book and movie totally fits for Best Meet Cute. I mean, it was awesome.
What's cuter than running into a hot guy at a tire shop?
I don't think there is much more that you could. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I don't know, it was some promo, I think, for Passioncon where they had this long line of book boyfriend, male models going by. And I was just, oh my gosh.
They did that at the last one. The last one they did was a couple years ago in LA, and they had book boyfriends there as well. And it's just tall, dark, and handsome eye candy that's there to make sure everyone's having a good time. They get me drinks. I'm in an orthotic boot right now because I have horrible tendonitis. I know walking the beach in a boot, super glamorous, but the last night had a Cinderella moment when I was kind of taking my boot off for certain parts of events. And so I was sitting down on a sofa outside the after party, putting my boot back on. And one of the book boyfriends came over and put it on me like I was Cinderella. I was like, this is just, I see why.
This is the life, right?
Yeah, I see why they bring these boys in. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have to say, we can talk about the movie for a second. It must be surreal, to just become a published author and then to be an Amazon bestselling author and then to have a book explode on Book Talk and then to have a book adapted into a movie. Was that just surreal? And to be a part of that movie being made, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like I'm totally living a fairy tale fantasy. When I started writing, those were all pipe dreams, that seemed like, rarely ever happened to authors, especially indie authors like myself. So yeah, it's been an incredible whirlwind. And even the backstory to that book, Wait With Me, I was never supposed to write that book. I was having writer's block on my sports romance Harris Brothers series. I started writing in a tire shop waiting room, sneaking in until it kind of blew up on social media. And then I was like, I wonder if I could write a book about like a romance novelist who gets caught sneaking into a tire shop waiting room to write. And so it's just this, like, of all the books that got a movie deal, that one,
yes.
it just kind of goes to show sometimes like the universe just has its own plans for you and you just have to be along for the ride. And yeah, being on set for the production of it is not something a lot of authors get to have it with their movie deals. Passion Flicks is very cool in that regard, that they really heavily involve the author. So that was really awesome.
Is there any movement for the next movie?
Yeah, so they optioned One Moment Please, which is one of the books in that series as well. There's some talks about production dates, but there's also talks about flipping production dates. So I don't know anything yet. I also still haven't seen a screenplay. So I think we still have some steps got to make for that. But yeah, it's coming. Just unsure.
Well, and I think that book, I mean, that movie could probably win you another award of like best second meet cute, right? Because they have their first like awesome meet cute and one night stand, and then the best second meet cute in the ER. I think.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hands down.
That would be good. That book is One Moment Please is a book that constantly blows up on TikTok because the hook of, a girl going into the ER and her ER doctor is a guy she had a one night stand with months prior. And he's the one that tells her she's pregnant. And then they both realize that it's his baby. So I don't know where I even got that idea. I can't even remember, but like, I can't manufacture a hook that good no matter what. Like every book I write, I'm like, how can I make something as hooky as One Moment Please? And it just seems like this thing I can't top, but I'll keep trying.
I know. It was fabulous. I do think it's going to win you another award at a future Passioncon for sure because of that.
Put that in the universe. Thank you.
Exactly. And you can have another, I saw that you put together a movie premiere at home for Wait With Me, which looked so adorable and super cute.
I've lived and breathed this experience as much as possible. So I have so many close friends and family that are so proud of me. Like I'm one of those lucky authors that does not face judgment for writing smut, only awe and amazement. Like they're just so impressed with this. And so I had to do something back home so that everyone could be a part of it.
I love that. Well, as a total aside, like I had to count them up the other day, 43 states of the United States. South Dakota is one I have not been to. So next premiere, I might just have to like book a ticket and show my support so I can check that one off.
I hear that a lot, actually. Like when people ask where I'm from, they're like, oh, I've never been there. I'm like, yep, I think that's kind of one of the states that gets forgotten about. We do have beautiful Black Hills, but you just gotta, it's not as much of a destination as some of the warmer states, maybe.
Right. But a movie premiere might just make it the destination.
That would be good. That would be good. Good I can do. I'll put you on the list.
Right. Well, congratulations on the award again. That is super exciting. I'm glad it was a fun weekend, boot and all. But tell us all about 9-month contract that is coming out very, very soon. Tell us all the things.
I'm so nervous. I'll tell you that. It's been almost 2 years since I released. Basically, I released the previous book, Last on the List, in June of 2022. And then I had some family things. My dad passed away. And so like I was grieving for a while. And then the Wait With Me movie option got greenlit for production. So then I was on the movie tour, like part of life. And so it's been a while. And so I feel kind of like it's a whole new ball game out there, but I'm thrilled. I kind of have been playing with this idea in the back of my head for a while. And I sort of I have this habit of taking sort of topics and trying to make them mainstream or rom-com. So this is a surrogacy romance. So basically, grumpy single mountain man wants to be a single dad. He's trying to find a surrogate to have his baby for him. Nobody's right. And then finally his 18-year-old niece decides to help because she thinks she could do a better job than him, but she's got ulterior motives. And so she's going to be a running theme through all of her uncle's stories of really wanting to find love for them. And so, yeah, it's fun. It's very like outdoorsy. They're in the mountains. He has a barn and he has an apartment above it that the surrogate lives in. So lots of that forced proximity vibes that people love. Yeah. And it's different. There's not a lot of surrogacy romances out there. Hope people give it a chance and don't think, oh, that seems like too much or that's out there. But I think I do it justice. And, my first book is a memoir about my experiences through recurrent pregnancy loss. So I think I have the ability to handle it with the sensitivity it deserves while still making it a fun, sexy rom-com. I think both of those things can exist. So I'm really proud of it. And I haven't heard from the ARC readers yet. And I'm like, I almost don't want to look.
Well, I'll be the first. I'll be the first because you're right. Your PA sent them out Thursday or maybe Friday. I don't remember. And so Saturday, for once, there's nothing like on the calendar, right? No flag football, no basketball, no Girl Scouts. Like, I'm like, okay, so breakfast. I'm like, I'm going to open this book because I got to get ready for talking with Amy. And I think I had my ass on that couch for the entire day because I just had to read it, like start to finish. It was so good. I loved it. Total 5 stars. So it's going to be like popular because it's awesome. And I'm not just saying that. I won't say that to everybody.
Okay, good. It's legit. It's legit.
It's totally legit. And yeah, you're right. Obviously, the surrogacy is the main theme of it, right? Is there something that made you think, after 2 years of writing, like, this is something I want to talk about? Or did it just sort of pop in your head?
I think I thought if I'm going to take a 2-year break from publishing, I need to come out with something that's going to make people go, what is she thinking? I like a shock factor a little bit when I can. And that's hard to do in rom-com because it's so mainstream and so commercial. So I think, I was like, well, if I'm going to take a little break and come back out, I need to come out swinging. So, yeah.
Well, and I can tell that you really did your research, right? It's not like you had moments where you're like given a brain dump of like details about surrogacy, but you're able to kind of like weave them in your signature really comedic way at times, right? But I felt like, oh, I didn't know that about it. And it just made it seem very seamless, especially the part where Trista is sort of talking about her, application process and stuff. So I could tell that you really like, didn't just pick it on a whim, but really wanted to do it justice, which was great.
Well, and interestingly, and I don't want to spoil this because I think readers need to read it, but the way that Trista and Wyatt conceived this child, I know someone who did it that way. So like, yes. So if anyone wants to come at me and say, this is unbelievable, I can tell you otherwise. So I think that was part of my inspiration too, was that story that I heard from a friend of mine was so wild. I'm like, that has to be in a movie or a book. Like, that is so crazy. People will not believe that's possible. And it's absolutely possible. In fact, my friend had twins. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't want to spoil that.
I won't spoil it either. But I think before I even started it, I was like, I think from one of the blurbs or one of your promotional pieces, it talked about like that first, insemination try. And I was like, oh my gosh, this scene is going to be so good. I bet she's had it planned, so I didn't know. I'm like, did you already have it in your mind? So clearly maybe you already did, but
I did. That was the one I was like, that's going to be the big scene. Like that's, and that scene kind of slowed down the whole pacing of the story in some ways. I was like, God, so I want to show all of that. So I can't get her pregnant right away. And, there's so much that when you involve a pregnancy in a book, it kind of changes the landscape of your story and the pacing because you have to get through the pregnancy at some point. The reader's going to want the final result of hopefully a baby at the end. So,
right.
Yeah, that's just an interesting part of the writing process.
Well, and I love too that, typically if there's a book about someone wanting to get pregnant, it's usually like the single heroine who's like, okay, I'm ready to be a mom. And even though I don't have a partner, like I'm going to make this happen. I just need to find some sperm, But this is about a guy who really wants to be a single dad, doesn't want to be a husband necessarily, wants to be a single dad. And so I loved that was sort of your approach to
Yeah.
this story. It was pretty cool.
Well, people love a single dad trope too. So it's kind of that. It's got that vibe at least. So, yeah, I loved it. It was, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the masses and what
Yes.
they do it.
And the other part about the book summary that I was looking at and reading is it talks about, he's the grumpy mountain man who likes to grunt. And then there's something else about like barn sex. And I'm like, oh, I hope those two come together, how the barn sex and the grunting. And they do. And they do very well. I won't say
I'm
more.
glad. I'm glad I achieved that desire for you.
But I think too, what I love most about your books are the characters that you write. Because like you said, you have this ability to make this hilarious rom-com, but yet also characters that have sort of a heaviness to them at times or something maybe they're struggling with. And I think both of these characters do have that, but you can write that seamlessly, right? Where it never ever feels too like heavy, but yet the comedic part doesn't like make that seem superficial either. So Wyatt Fletcher, right, is our hero. Why are readers going to love Wyatt and why is he going to be their next book boyfriend, do you think?
I mean, grumpy mountain man. That's it. Total, right? Like, I mean, is there a better, like, hero type out there? Or bearded, like, he's got all the things. Yeah, I don't know. I think so. My Harris Brothers series was really, I think, where I first found my true fan base. My real readers found me through that. And so I've been toying with the idea of like, I'm like, I would like to write brothers that are, in the US. Cause like my whole Harris Brothers series is based in the UK. And it's so funny the amount of people that think I'm British because I have this full 10-book series all taking place in the UK. And so I was like, why couldn't I do brothers in the US? And so when I wrote my 5th book in my Wait With Me series, which is based in Boulder, Colorado, I was like, I gave them 3 brothers. They all lived on a mountain. I'm a huge fan of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
And
And
I thought so, given that little nod.
I have some idea. I kind of figured I was like, it's not like a retelling by any means, but I was like, I think them all living on a mountain compound together and like all finding like wives or brides, like that's kind of a fun way to just also mainstream it, make it rom-com. That's like what I love to do. So I think they're gonna love Wyatt because he's got such like family is like, even though he's this grumpy, silent mountain man, like his family is his everything. And he like so much so that he lives as neighbors with his 2 brothers. And it's like, I think people love a family series. They love the crossover that they get to see updates on those brothers no matter what. So I think they'll hopefully love the series and to get to see everyone's happily ever afters and then some.
Yes. And even though he's grumpy, just his little moments of, just the part about having his pet goat and how like that came about. The man is golden. And then what he does, like his relationship with his niece, again, it's like, oh,
The niece thing is really fun because, so technically there's 4 brothers, but the oldest brother was the final book in my Wait With Me series. And so, he had the daughter like early in life. And so all of his younger brothers just kind of almost grew up with their niece, even though she is younger than them. Like they kind of became men with their niece. And so it's fun to see them all dote on her. And she's like the apple of all their eyes. So
yes. Though I would say, having read both books, people can absolutely read this one as a standalone if they haven't read Last on the List.
yeah.
But I do love that you sort of brought in Everly and that how she's going to like be connected because I loved her relationship with all the uncles in that book. And that was like a really nice surprise for this one. So
I know. I always try to write my books as standalones. Like no matter what, I remind readers of characters or I sort of introduce them in a way so that you could just read who that is and without having to read the previous book because I just know how hard it is to commit to series when you're a reader who maybe doesn't have a ton of time to read or, you're not sure like book 1 appealed to you as much as book 5. And so, like, just read what you want. Life is short. You don't need to like feel the need to binge a series if you just want to read the book that you saw advertised and you're like, yeah, I want that. So you can dive in all like
yes. So true. But I think you do have like the hand, like you've hit the nail on the head with the Brothers series. Like I do. I love the Harris Brothers. I love all of them, all of the books. I think Endurance is probably my favorite of all of them.
That's one of my favorites too, actually. I
Really?
would Banner. And, I think my next book in the Mountain Men series is going to be the Brother Calder's book. And he's got Tanner vibes to me.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to write their story because writing Tanner's book was one of the most fun stories I've written. And I don't know why. I think I just liked Tanner's personality. He's very man whorish, but also super expressive and in touch with his emotions. So yeah, I think Calder, the second Mountain Man book, when I get going on it, is gonna, you know, make me feel a little nostalgic for the
Yes, I can totally see that. I love him already, having read this book. I mean, I would just laugh every time he would come and his like saying, and I can see it does remind me of Tanner. I don't know what it was about Tanner either. I just smiled through that entire book. I just loved him so much.
yeah, yeah.
But how you are able to write like the banter between brothers and like how they, needle each other. It's fantastic in this book. If people love that about the Harris brothers, it's pretty cool.
It's funny because I was in Theodore Taylor's an author who does some educational courses for authors. And so I'd submitted my first chapter. And so everyone reads the first chapters and then you all kind of critique it. And somebody asked me, they're like, oh my God, you must have so many brothers because of how well you wrote that first chapter with those brothers. And I was like, actually, I only have two sisters. And it was Theodora, who's just a genius. She was like, no, I think oftentimes people write what they don't know because it's more fun for them. It's like you write your desire or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I think that's, what I've done, because it is kind of funny that I've never been called to write a sister's story, about a story about a bunch of sisters, because that's what I lived. I don't know. Then they're done that. But brothers, that's just, more fun to me, I guess.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. Interesting. So Trista is our heroine, right? She's equally awesome in this story. What do you like best about her?
Well, I think the readers will love that she's an animal lover. I mean, animal lovers and readers go together like coffee and cream. They just like complimenting. Like, there's just so many readers that love animals too. So I think the fact that Trista's just so obsessed with animals will be really fun for them to read about. I think her love of animals is what helped her feel uniquely qualified for the surrogacy thing. I think there's lots of people who I can identify with only wanting to be a dog mom or a cat mom.
Right.
Like they don't
Right.
have that desire to have their own children. So that felt like believable motivation to me for her. But she's also, very aware of herself, very open, kind of no filter. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm excited to see what they think. I always think I know what readers are going to think. And then I start seeing the early reviews and I'm like, I did not even notice I did that, So, yeah.
Well, I love also like just the uniqueness that you give to your characters, particularly your heroines, right? So with Kate being the romance book author, right, from Wait With Me, and then Cozy, just her like from last on the list, her just philosophy of I'm cool just chilling all day, or I don't remember what she called it.
Do less. Why do more when you can do less?
Right, exactly. And then loved how what was it? Her hobby of making charcuterie boards.
That's charcuterie, penis-shaped charcuterie boards.
Yes, penis-shaped charcuterie boards. I'm like, way to go. Like, how to get into that. So yes, I think Trista has her own uniqueness to her too, which is fantastic. And then
The fact that she's curvy or plus size is also, I think, something that's definitely come around a lot more in the last couple of years. For my own books too, I feel there's a desire for readers to want to see more size inclusivity or size representation of all spectrums, mid-size, straight size, plus size, whatever. So I've enjoyed the few books that I have written that include plus size character. I've grown up plus size my whole life. So I super identify with those insecurities or confidences or whatever. I mean, there's multiple different ways to write a plus size character. Some of my heroines, it's definitely an insecurity for them. Some of them have more confidence. I would say Trista definitely is one of my characters with more confidence. And I think readers love seeing that. They love just seeing that, their weight isn't their whole personality. So I think they'll be excited to see that a bit from her.
yeah, absolutely. And you could definitely see that come through in not just her own opinions of herself, but Wyatt too, which I absolutely loved.
Yep.
No, I have to say one of my favorite exchanges in all of your books is Mac talking with Freya about that. I'm just like, oh, that was like beautiful.
Freya is one of mine that had more body insecurities. And so
Mhm.
I think some could see some of that book as having some fat phobic narratives. But like I there's just such a fine line when you write plus size characters to not, feed that fat phobia like rhetoric, but also being real to your characters and their insecurities and letting them be vulnerable.
For
And like
sure.
it is just like the hallmark of a good romance for me is when a hero makes a heroine feel beautiful, no
Mhm.
matter her size, no matter her emotional like place in life. Like I just love writing that. So I think for me, I will always maybe push the boundaries a little bit there because above all, I want to write relatable characters that I can see myself in the pages, because then I hope that will translate to other readers being able to see themselves and feel seen and feel like a main character.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And yeah, I would say you nailed it with this book. Absolutely. So that leads me into like the banter that you write. That has to be, you make it look easy or make it seem easy to be a writer because your pacing and just the word choices you use. It does. It just seems like, man, this must flow like right out of her, in this comedic banter. Like I think in your friend group, you have to be the extrovert of the group. It just seems and like your funny reels on Instagram. I'm like, this woman is hilarious, right? Do you have already some of that comedic relief in your mind, like writing the story, or do you come to a scene and you're like, okay, there probably should be some comedic relief here. What do I think they're gonna say? Or do they just talk to you in your head and it comes?
No, this is such a good question because I'm going to Readers Take Denver next month and I'm on a panel that's called Good Banter or something
Oh,
like that.
nice.
And it's kind of an educational panel. Like we're supposed to be able to help authors know how to write it. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? Because unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, it's so instinctual. I don't really know how I do it. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm so good. It's so instinct. It's just, I think I edit a lot as I write. And I think that helps me get to know the characters really well so that their voices just keep getting stronger and stronger as I'm writing and editing. But yeah, I am an extrovert and I do have kind of a no filter vibe about me. I think a lot of people saw that at Passioncon this weekend. So I think that helps too I was a middle child growing up, so I like attention. I always felt like I was not special, so I kept trying to make myself special. So I think that's some of it too, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. I'm very glad that has become something readers notice in my stories because I think it's one of those things that's hard to teach.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it just shows that you're doing what you're meant to do if it just flows for you, right? At times, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So this book, 9 Month Contract, kicks off that new series that you talked about. Had you had it planned already when you wrote Last on the List? Or then you decided, oh, this is going to be a new series about brothers. And then do you plot them all out sort of before you start? Or what's your process with a series?
I always like to say my business philosophy is willy-nilly. And I don't really have
That works.
I don't have an exact like equation that I follow. I knew when I gave Max in Last on the List 3 brothers that all lived on a mountain. I'm like, well, yeah, that sounds like a series that I would want to read. So
Yes.
I knew I was going to do something with them. I don't think when I was writing Last on the List, I knew why it was going to be a surrogacy romance vibe. I didn't know that at all. So I think just the ideas kind of come a lot of times. So as I'm writing the book one, the first brothers book, like I start thinking about the other brothers and what they could do. And
Mhm.
so there's certain things too I want to show on the mountain, like visually. And I'll like be like, oh, there's already so much in Wyatt's book. I'm going to save this visual moment for Calder's book, or things like that. Like I
Yeah.
have this idea I researched this green functioning hot tub. So it functions from a natural spring and it has a natural heat source. And so, these brothers are all very green and they like to have eco-friendly homes and stuff. And I'm like, I could fit this in Wyatt's book, but Wyatt's book is already very full. And also
Mm.
hot tubs are not good for pregnant people. So it didn't fit there. I was like, scroll that away for a later book and you can have a cool hot tub scene with one of the other brothers. And so
Yeah.
there's kind of things like that you have to kind of move around to different storylines that can make it fit. So you're not jamming everything in one brother's book and then kind of feeling like what's left for the next ones. But
Gotcha.
yeah. Did that
And
answer the question? I kind of
yeah,
lost.
yeah, totally. And you give us little nuggets about their personality because now you're like, oh, like I'm definitely ready for Calder's story. And
Yeah.
even, Luke, I'm just like, oh, okay. Just these little nuggets that you've already planted. I think that's really, talent to be able to do that when you're thinking through a series because you've already hooked the reader to be like, yep, I need the next one. When's it coming?
Well, and I've learned over the years, try not to drop too big of nuggets because then you kind of paint yourself in a hole later.
Yes.
So it's like, it's a delicate balance to give enough to entice the reader so they want the next brother's book, but also still have plenty of creative freedom when you finally sit down to write that next brother's book. Because if I say like something about who his heroine is going to be and I want to change my mind because I got an idea, if it's already in the first brother's book, I'm stuck,
Gotcha.
so stuck. It's all a fictional world, so we can make it work. But
Yes, yes. Now, do you like reading small town romance yourself, or is that what sort of made you think, oh, maybe I'm going to go small town romance for this series?
yeah, I mean, I think I wanted a little bit of a change. I wrote like my Harris Brothers series is all based in London, so that's a big metropolis city. My Wait With Me series is Boulder, Colorado, which is mid-sized city. I'd say kind of small, but not small, small. Well, I guess I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to make these brothers mountain men, I think small town mountain men makes sense. And it's kind of nice to have different things to market for different readers. Some readers don't like sports romance, so I don't want to just be only known for sports romance. Some readers, don't like small towns. So it's nice to have something for everyone. I think it felt like it was time for a little bit of a change for me and
Yeah.
a little challenge. And I think it's going to kind of grow that city of Jamestown a bit through all the brothers' books.
Very cool. So did you write any of this in Tires?
I've gone there a few times. I mean, I bring my computer every time I go there now. I don't write at Tires as much as I used to. My house just got remodeled. So I have a whole brand new office and I'm like, okay, now you have to be a big girl and actually work in your office. So yeah, but I still go in and I see the guys and they all remember me. And
That's awesome.
so keep in touch with Gary, the manager, who's the one that found out about me sneaking into their tire shop to write.
I love that story.
They're
It will
good
never
buddies.
get old. Yes. Well, I want to talk HGTV too in a moment, but what else? Is there anything else readers need to know about 9-month contract other than it comes out April 11th and they absolutely need to order it?
I mean, the audio is hopefully coming out the same day. I get a lot of questions about audio. So I kind of delayed the release of this book so that I could get the audio produced. But yeah, no, you can dive right into it. You do not have to read Last on the List, which is so there's 4 brothers technically, but the oldest brother is the end of the previous series. So you don't have to read Last on the List to enjoy this one. But if you are waiting around anyways and you want to, I think it would be nice because there's some cute scenes of those brothers in Last on the List that kind of fit, just help, prime you for this Mountain Man Brothers. But no, I'm just so excited. I hope readers love it. And yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. And I love both covers. Did that stress you out? Like, does it stress you out as an author being like, okay, like, because I love your signature, like, ab covers. They're just beautiful, for lack of a better word, And then this whole like movement of discrete covers. I mean, yeah, that must be expensive for authors and hard to figure out. And I don't know.
It's very hard. I just never want my cover to be the reason why someone doesn't give my book a try. And it's interesting because, in Germany right now, I'm releasing my book, One Moment Please, has just gone live. And this is similar to what the cover looks like in Germany too. And I've gone viral on TikTok with this book a few times. And a lot of the readers in Germany are like, I have a German assistant who helps me with all this, but they're more traditionally published over there. So like they have a lot like prettier, flowery type covers. And they're like, oh, this cover makes me not want to read it. And I'm like, no, give it a chance. So yeah, the cover change and shift that we're seeing is exhausting, but it's also fun. Like I love these and these are what created my career, but I also like love this. And this is so fun for me. It feels very traditional. It feels like a book I'd see on a beach. So, it's a hardship, but not really, I guess. And so I did illustrated for 9-month contract because I wanted to see the barn. I wanted to see Wyatt's cabin. I wanted to see the couple.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Trista's curves on the cover. I wish I had that book with me, but they haven't come in yet. So I wanted to see all of that. And so selfishly, that's why I went with illustrated instead of a more abstract design like this, just because I wanted to see all that. So,
Yeah. No, I think that it definitely pulls it all together for sure. That's
but
awesome.
I can't, I got to keep with the hot guy covers because I know that's where my original following came from. So I want to honor that.
Yes. Well done. I love it. So yeah, so that the week of your release is going to be huge for another reason, because do you mind telling us a little bit about the HGTV show in your office and how that even came to be? Oh my gosh.
It's so crazy that, so my house was, okay, so Chelsea Huska, she is famous for MTV Teen Mom show back in the day. She lives in my hometown area of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So it's not like I run into her. It's not like I know her. I've been aware that she's in this area. And she signed a deal with HGTV last year and started a home renovation show. Her and her husband, Cole DeBoer, are on this show. It's called Down Home Fab. And they released season 1. And my friend Carla, who watches all the HGTV, Carla Sorensen, she's an amazing author. She watches all the HGTV and she's like, oh my God, Chelsea Huska has like links out on her stories that you can apply to be on her show. You should do that. And so that's what happened. I applied and we got cast for season 2. And so this summer we had to move out of her house for about 4 months. And
Really?
yes. And so I put the whole crew here. They had to do a walkthrough. It's a whole production. It's very fun. So yeah, we had to meet with a whole big crew. I didn't get to meet Chelsea and Cole until we were on camera filming the show. So it's been a crazy experience. And, you give ideas and you fill out a design survey. So it's not just they don't just take everything and they just don't do exactly what they want. They want to make you happy. So it's a lot of what you see in the show, the interview type process. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. And we filmed the reveal in October, and they just emailed me a few weeks ago and said that my specific house renovation episode will air on April 11th. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the same day I'm releasing my book. Like, what are the odds? So I'm hoping it's this great serendipitous,
Yes.
whirlwind day. So,
Oh wow. That's
I'm dying
amazing.
here.
Gosh, and that's a lot of trust to put in some people for,
Yep.
your house renovation. I hope you loved it. And I mean, from what I saw, it looks amazing.
I love it. I mean, you get a little peek of my office here right now, and it's so beautiful. These cabinets and the shelves they put in. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the episode. My husband's dreading it. He hated the on-camera process, but he's got an extrovert for a wife. So he says yes a lot, begrudgingly. But he kept telling everyone when everyone kept asking, when is your episode airing? He kept telling them it was canceled.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't want anyone to watch it, but I'm sure he's
So
going to.
funny. I watched the little trailer or whatever for it, and the fact that I don't remember his name, how he posed his own robot.
Yes.
I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm thrilled by that because, they really embraced what I do. There was no shame. There was no, oh, we need to hide these because they're too sexy looking. Like literally, when we walked in my office, they had these covers up loud and proud on display for me. So HGTV is a judgment-free zone. They are pro-romance, and Chelsea and Cole embraced their own little storyline of a romance cover. And I can't wait to see how that turned out too.
That's awesome. I keep waiting for my doorbell to go off this day. You won the 2024 HGTV homes.
God, so fun.
I don't think a winner's been picked yet. I'm like, oh my gosh, thinking me, I do it every year. But anyway, that's a total aside. I love that show.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Well, I'm going to move on to a few questions about Amy the reader, if that's okay.
Sure.
One reason I love reading romance for so many different reasons. Like it just gives me joy. It makes me check out from, life, from, seeing examples of good relationships, good communication, like the reasons go sort of on and on. But is there a reason why you love to either read or write romance that sticks out for you?
I mean, I always found myself bored in a story that there wasn't a love story. Just thinking back to like the viral series that blew up into blockbuster movies like Twilight and Hunger Games and Divergent. The thing that kept me flipping pages always was that like underlying love story. I mean, Twilight, the love story is very prominent. Hunger Games and Divergent, it's a little more secondary, but still, I just loved it. I just couldn't. I realized like that was what I was reading it for, and then I actually started to learn that there's books where it's just that's the primary focus is the love story. And I was like, that's what I want to read. That like, what am I doing? Like reading, these dystopian books when I just want the love story. So
Right.
I've definitely always loved romance.
Oh my God, you guys, this interview with Amy was so much fun. I think I could talk with her for hours. Honestly, she's just super cool and someone who I think would be a lot of fun to hang out with. And guess what? You have the opportunity to hear more from Amy and hang out with her, and here's how. There is a lot more to my interview with Amy after we fangirled over HGTV, where we talk more about Amy the reader, what she loves about reading romance, what book really hooked her on the genre, who her favorite book boyfriends are, and so much more. She was also such a good sport in playing my this or that game too. You can access and watch this entire interview with the extended interview extra as a video with both of us on screen when you sign up for my She Reads Romance Books book club membership that is going live this month. Certain members will get access to this full video interview and all of my author videos when you join the book club. And that is not all. I am super excited to announce that 9-month contract is the first book selection for the She Reads Romance Books book club, which means that we will be reading this book in May and getting together on Zoom to talk all about it in May. Plus, if you join the book club membership, you will be invited to a Zoom call with Amy for an author Q&A chat with her. So you will get to hang out with her online on Zoom, and you don't want to miss it. So stay tuned to She Reads Romance Books for the launch of the book club so you can join, and subscribe to the podcast for even more author interviews and book list episodes coming your way. In the meantime, don't forget to snag your copy of 9-month contract, which releases on April 11th. Snag it and you can already get ahead for book club in May. Trust me when I say that I loved this romance, and it's going to be going up on my list of best romance books of 2024. You can read my full book review, which is now up on She Reads Romance Books. I'm also going to include a link to the book in the show notes, as well as links where you can find Amy online to sign up for her newsletter, as well as where you can find her on all the social channels. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode, and happy reading, because life is better with a love story. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.